Have you ever found yourself struggling to get up from a chair? Maybe the simple act of bending down to tie your shoes feels like a challenge these days. If so, you're not alone. Take Margaret, for example. At 73, she always thought she was in decent shape, but one morning, she noticed something that shook her. She had to push herself up from her favorite armchair with both hands. Just a few years ago, she could stand up easily, but now her legs felt weak. The stairs in her house seemed taller than before, and walking down the driveway to get the mail left her breathing a little heavier. Margaret was scared. She had always prided herself on being independent, but now she worried, what if she got worse? What if one day she needed a walker? Or worse, what if she fell and couldn't get back up? But here's the thing, Margaret wasn't out of options. She wasn't too old to regain her strength. In fact, she discovered a few simple habits that help her feel strong, steady, and confident again. No gym, no fancy equipment, just small, powerful changes she could do right at home. In this video, I'm going to share those same habits with you. Stick with me until the end because the last two tips made the biggest difference for Margaret, and they can do the same for you. 1. The truth about aging in your body. Most people think that getting older automatically means getting weaker, but that's not exactly true. Yes, our bodies change as we age, but the biggest reason people struggle with movement isn't just age, it's inactivity. See, your muscles work on a use it or lose it basis. The less you move, the weaker they get. And when your muscles weaken, everyday tasks start feeling harder. Suddenly, bending down, standing up, or even walking across the room can feel like an uphill battle. That's what happened to Margaret. She used to go on daily walks, but over time, she skipped them more and more. Maybe it was the cold weather, or maybe she was just feeling tired. Whatever the reason, the less she moved, the weaker her legs got. And the weaker her legs got, the more she avoided movement. It became a cycle, one that made her feel trapped inside her own body. But here's the good news. This cycle can be broken. Your body is designed to move, and even small efforts can create big changes. Margaret didn't need to run a marathon or lift heavy weights. She just needed to start moving again. And that's exactly what she did. 2. The 5-minute rule that changed everything. One of the first things Margaret did was commit to just 5 minutes of movement a day. That's it, just 5 minutes. She started small. The first day, she walked from one end of her living room to the other. The next day, she did it twice. Little by little, she built up her strength. If walking feels difficult for you, start even smaller. Before you even get out of bed in the morning, try these 3 simple moves. Ankle circles. Gently roll your ankles in a circle to wake up your joints. Arm stretches. Reach your arms overhead and take a deep breath. Knee lifts. Lift your knees slightly while lying down to get the blood flowing. These small movements might not seem like much, but they wake up your body and remind your muscles that they're still strong. Margaret followed this routine every morning. Within a few weeks, she noticed something. Her legs felt steadier. She wasn't grabbing onto furniture for balance anymore. And for the first time in a long time, she felt in control of her body again. 3. Stop accepting fatigue as normal. Another thing Margaret struggled with, constant tiredness. She would wake up feeling groggy, even after a full night's sleep. By mid-afternoon, she was ready to collapse into her chair. And by evening, she barely had the energy to move. At first, she thought, I guess this is just what happens when you get older. But she was wrong. See, fatigue isn't always about age. It's about the little things we overlook. For Margaret, 3 things were secretly draining her energy. Dehydration. She was drinking more coffee than water, not realizing that even mild dehydration can cause tiredness. Poor sleep habits. She stayed up late watching TV, and the blue light from the screen disrupted her sleep. Lack of movement. The less she moved, the more sluggish she felt. So, she made a few simple changes. She kept a water bottle nearby and sipped throughout the day. She turned off screens an hour before bed and read a book instead. She stretched for 5 minutes before bed, helping her body relax. The difference? Within a week, she woke up feeling lighter, more refreshed. Her afternoon slumps disappeared, and for the first time in years, she had energy that lasted all day. 4. The one thing that keeps you moving longer. Here's something that might surprise you. Sitting too much can actually make you weaker. Think about it. How many hours a day do you spend sitting? At the breakfast table, watching TV, reading a book, chatting with a friend. It all adds up, and before you know it, you spend 8 to 10 hours a day sitting. Margaret was the same way. She thought her short walks were enough, but when she started tracking her movement, she realized she was sitting way more than she thought. And the more she sat, the stiffer her joints got. So she made a change. Every hour, she stood up and stretched for just 1 minute. Sometimes she marched in place while brushing her teeth. Other times, she stood up during commercials while watching TV. She even paced around the room while on the phone. These tiny changes made a huge difference. Within weeks, her legs felt stronger and her body didn't feel as stiff. And that's the secret. Movement isn't about exercising for hours. It's about finding little moments to move throughout your day. Margaret's story is proof that you're never too old to rebuild strength, regain energy, or reclaim your independence. You don't need a gym. You don't need fancy equipment. All you need is one small step today. So here's my challenge for you. Stand up right now. Stretch your arms. Roll your shoulders. Take a deep breath. Feels good, doesn't it? That's your first step. And tomorrow, you'll take another. But Margaret's journey didn't end here. There was one final habit that made all the difference. It wasn't about movement, but mindset. In the next part, we'll talk about something that could change how you feel about aging forever. And trust me, you won't want to miss it. Keeping your mind sharp, Margaret was making progress. Her body felt stronger. Her energy was returning. And for the first time in years, she felt hopeful. But there was one thing she hadn't expected. While her body was getting better, her mind still felt sluggish. She'd forget where she placed her glasses. She'd walk into a room and forget why she was there. And sometimes, in the middle of a conversation, she'd lose her train of thought. At first, she laughed it off. "Oh, I guess that's just old age creeping in," she told herself. But deep down, she worried. What if this was a sign of something worse? She had seen it happen to friends, sharp, witty people who slowly started forgetting names, faces, and important moments. She didn't want that to be her future. But here's the truth. Memory loss is an inevitable part of aging. In fact, your brain is like a muscle, and just like your body, it needs the right care to stay strong. The good news? Margaret learned a few simple habits that helped her mind feel sharper, clearer, and more focused than ever before. And today, I'm going to share those with you. 3. Your brain loves new experiences. One of the biggest mistakes people make as they get older is that they stop learning new things. See, your brain is designed to grow, adapt, and create new connections, no matter how old you are. But when you stop challenging it, those connections weaken. That's what happened to Margaret. She had fallen into a routine, waking up, watching TV, doing the same crossword puzzle she had done for years. She wasn't learning anything new, and slowly, her brain started feeling foggy. But then she made a small change. She picked up a new hobby. For her, it was painting. She had never considered herself an artist, but she gave it a try, and something amazing happened. She felt focused. She felt engaged. She felt alive. Her mind had woken up in a way she hadn't felt in years. You don't have to become an artist, but adding something new to your daily routine, like learning a new language, playing a different card game, try a new recipe, or even picking up a musical instrument, can literally rewire your brain and keep it sharp and active. 4. The one thing that slows your brain down. Now, let's talk about something that could be silently draining your brain power. Margaret didn't realize it, but she was spending hours in front of TV every day. She wasn't really paying attention, just flipping through channels. The problem? Passive screen time doesn't challenge your brain. It puts it in autopilot mode. So she made a change. Instead of watching TV for hours, she set a simple rule. For every hour of TV, she had to do something that engaged her brain. Sometimes she read a book. Other times, she called a friend for a real conversation. She even started writing down stories from her past, memories she hadn't thought about in years. Within days, she noticed a difference. She wasn't as forgetful. Her thoughts felt clearer. She felt more present in the moment. If you've been feeling mentally sluggish, ask yourself, how much time do I spend on passive activities? The fix is simple. Replace just 30 minutes a day with something that actively uses your mind. You'll be surprised how quickly your brain starts to feel sharper. 5. The hidden secret to a sharp mind. Margaret was doing better, but there was one final missing piece. She had strengthened her body. She had started using her brain again, but she still had moments where she felt anxious and overwhelmed. Her doctor asked her a simple question. How much time do you spend outside? Margaret paused. She took short walks, but most of her time was spent indoors, reading, cooking, watching TV. That's when her doctor told her something that surprised her. Spending time in sunlight isn't just good for your body, it's good for your brain. Sunlight helps produce vitamin D, which is directly linked to mood, memory, and mental clarity. In fact, studies show that low vitamin D levels can lead to brain fog, fatigue, and even depression. So, Margaret made a small adjustment. 10 minutes of sunlight every morning. She had her coffee outside instead of at the kitchen table. She sat on her porch in the afternoons instead of staying inside. And the difference? Unbelievable. Her mind felt brighter, clearer, and lighter. The small worries that used to cloud her thinking, they faded. 6. The power of social connections. Here's something most people don't realize. Staying socially active is just as important as eating right or exercising. Studies show that people who have regular conversations and social interactions have sharper memories and lower rates of cognitive decline. Margaret had always been independent, but after her husband passed away, she slowly stopped reaching out to friends. She didn't think much of it. She was fine on her own. But loneliness is dangerous for the brain. So she made an effort. She started calling an old friend once a week. She joined a small book club at her local library. She made it a point to say hello to her neighbors when she went for a walk. These tiny social moments kept her brain engaged and gave her something to look forward to. If you've been feeling mentally drained or forgetful, ask yourself, when was the last time you had a real conversation with someone? Even a simple chat with a friend can wake up your brain and boost your mood. Small steps, big results. Margaret's transformation wasn't about making huge, overwhelming changes. It was about challenging her brain with new experiences, cutting back on passive screen time, spending a little time outside every day, and connecting with people instead of staying isolated. And the result? She felt sharper, more present, and more in control of her memory than she had in years. And you can do the same. So here's my challenge to you. Try one new thing today. Spend just 10 minutes outside. Call a friend you haven't spoken to in a while. Just one small step can lead to a stronger, sharper mind. But Margaret's journey wasn't over yet. She had one more challenge to face, something that affects millions of older adults: finding happiness, fulfillment in everyday life. And in the next part, we'll talk about the secret to truly enjoying your golden years, no matter what life throws your way. Living happily with your spouse. Margaret had made so much progress. Her body felt stronger, her mind was sharper, and she finally had the energy to enjoy her days again. But even with all these improvements, something still felt missing. Her home, once filled with laughter and conversation, now felt quieter. She and her husband, William, had been married for over 40 years, but lately it felt like they were just coexisting. They still cared for each other, but their days had become routine. Conversations were short, mostly about what was for dinner or what needed to be done around the house. The warmth, the excitement, and the connection they once had seemed to have faded. Margaret missed the way they used to talk for hours, the way they used to laugh over the smallest things. She knew that just like her body and mind, relationships also needed care. She wasn't ready to accept that love and connection faded with age. She wanted to bring back the closeness they once shared. And when she discovered a few simple but powerful ways to reconnect with William, everything changed. Today, I'll share those same steps with you. Because no matter how many years you've been together, it's never too late to strengthen your relationship and bring back the warmth you once had. 7. The simple habit that keeps you on your feet. Margaret noticed something surprising. Her mood and her relationship with William actually improved when they started moving together. At first, it was just small things. Instead of watching TV separately, they started taking short walks in the evening. They'd go outside after dinner, hold hands, and talk about their day. Those short walks turned into their favorite part of the day. It wasn't just about movement. It was about being together. Something about walking side by side, without distractions, made it easier to open up. They started sharing stories, dreams, and little memories they hadn't thought about in years. And soon it wasn't just about the walk. It was about feeling connected again. If you want to reconnect with your spouse, try this. Start moving together. It doesn't have to be a long walk. Even a few minutes outside, stretching together in the morning, or dancing to an old song in the living room can bring back that feeling of closeness. The key isn't just physical movement. It's creating moments where you're truly present with each other. 8. More than just an exercise, a way to find peace. One night, Margaret found herself lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, feeling restless. She loved William, but sometimes old arguments and past frustrations still lingered in her mind. She wanted to let go of those little resentments, but it wasn't always easy. That's when she discovered something unexpected. Relaxation and mindfulness could actually strengthen their relationship. She started practicing deep breathing before bed. Just a few minutes of slow inhales and exhales to clear her mind. Then she asked William if he wanted to join her. He laughed at first, but eventually he gave it a try. And something amazing happened. Those few quiet moments together at night became a time of peace, a time of connection. Instead of going to bed with tension or unspoken frustrations, they started ending their nights with calmness. Sometimes they would share one good memory from the day before closing their eyes. Other times, they just breathed together in silence, feeling safe and present in the moment. If there's tension or distance in your relationship, sometimes the best thing you can do is pause, breathe, and create a moment of peace together. It's not about fixing everything overnight. It's about making small changes that remind you both why you fell in love in the first place. Small steps, big love. Margaret realized something important. A strong relationship isn't built on big, grand gestures. It's built on small, everyday moments. The way you greet each other in the morning, the way you listen, the way you make each other feel seen and valued. So here's my challenge for you. Choose one small thing to do today. Take a short walk together. Share a memory from the past, or just sit in silence and hold hands. Love doesn't fade with age. It just needs to be nurtured. Margaret and William found their way back to each other. And you can too. But their story doesn't end here. In the next part, we'll talk about something that's even more important. How to find joy and purpose in life, no matter your age. Because staying active and having a strong relationship is just the beginning. True happiness comes from something even deeper. And in the next section, I'll share the final, most powerful lesson Margaret learned on her journey. Finding purpose and joy in everyday life. Margaret had come a long way. Her body was stronger, her mind sharper, and her relationship with William felt warmer than it had in years. But even with all these positive changes, there was still one thing she hadn't quite figured out. She woke up every morning, went through her routine, and yet something felt missing. She couldn't quite put her finger on it, but deep down she knew. She wanted to feel excited about life again. She wanted to wake up with a sense of purpose, something to look forward to each day. And if you've ever felt that way, you're not alone. Many people, as they get older, find themselves wondering, what now? The days blend together, and without work, raising kids, or other responsibilities to fill the time, it can feel like life has lost its spark. But here's what Margaret discovered. Purpose doesn't disappear with age. It just changes. And when she found new ways to bring meaning into her life, everything started to feel brighter again. Finding joy in the small things. One morning, Margaret sat outside with a cup of coffee, watching the sun rise. It was a quiet, simple moment. But as she sat there, something clicked. She realized she had spent so much time worrying about the past and the future that she had forgotten to enjoy right now. So she made a decision. Every day, she would find one small thing to appreciate. Sometimes it was the way the birds chirped outside her window. Other times, it was the warmth of William's hand in hers. She started paying attention to these moments, really feeling them, and the more she did, the lighter her heart became. Joy isn't always about big, exciting events. Sometimes, it's about noticing the little things that make life beautiful, giving back and feeling needed. Not long after, Margaret found another piece of the puzzle. She had always been someone who loved helping others, whether it was cooking a meal for a friend or giving advice to her grandchildren. But lately, she hadn't been doing much of that. And that's when it hit her. She missed feeling needed. So she started looking for ways to give back. She began volunteering once a week at a community center, helping kids with their reading. She also started calling an old friend every few days, just to check in and offer a kind word. And something incredible happened. She felt alive again. Having a reason to get up in the morning, knowing she was making a difference, brought back a sense of excitement she hadn't felt in years. No matter your age, having a purpose, something that makes you feel valuable, is one of the most powerful ways to bring joy into your life. And the best part? It doesn't have to be something big. Even something as simple as offering a kind word to someone else can bring meaning and connection into your day. Letting go of regrets. One afternoon, Margaret was sitting on her porch when an old memory popped into her mind, something she had done years ago that she still regretted. She had apologized for it long ago, but for some reason, the feeling still weighed on her heart. She thought about how often she held on to regrets, replaying past mistakes in her mind as if she could somehow change them. And she knew she wasn't alone. So many people look back on their lives and think, if only I had done this differently. But here's what she realized that day. You can't go back and change the past, but you can choose how you carry it forward. Instead of focusing on the things she couldn't change, Margaret decided to focus on the lessons she had learned. Every mistake had made her wiser. Every regret had shaped her into the person she was today. And instead of letting those thoughts bring her down, she started using them as reminders to live more fully in the present. If you're holding on to regrets, maybe it's time to let them go. The past doesn't define you. What matters is what you do right now, in this moment. Embracing change instead of fearing it. Margaret always used to say, I don't like change. It made her uncomfortable. But the more she thought about it, the more she realized change is just a part of life. The seasons change. People change. Even our own bodies and minds change over time. But change doesn't have to be a bad thing. It can be an opportunity, a chance to grow, to try something new, to create a fresh start. Instead of resisting change, Margaret started embracing it. She tried new activities, met new people, and opened her heart to new experiences. And to her surprise, life started feeling more exciting again. If there's one thing she learned, it's this: the best moments in life often come when you step outside of your comfort zone. You are never too old to start again. Margaret used to believe that some doors had closed for her forever, that she was too old to try new things, to make new friends, or to dream big. But she was wrong. The truth is, you are never too old to start again. You are never too old to find joy, to learn something new, to feel love, to laugh, to grow. Life doesn't stop at a certain age. It keeps going. And if you're willing to open your heart to it, there is so much more waiting for you. The final step: living fully every single day. Margaret's journey wasn't about making her life perfect. It was about making her life full. Full of love, full of connection, full of moments that mattered. And that's what I want for you, too. So here's my challenge. Don't wait for joy to find you. Go out and find it yourself. Appreciate the little things. Give back. Let go of the past. Embrace change. And most of all, remind yourself that every single day is a gift. Margaret finally found what she was looking for. Not in the past, not in the future, but right here, right now. And so can you. Now, I want to hear from you. Which part of Margaret's journey resonated with you the most? Leave a comment below and share one thing you're going to do today to bring more joy into your life. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us continue making content that inspires and uplifts. Thank you for being here. I'll see you in the next video.